right, guys, let's talk about streaming music.
All right.
So Taylor Swift canceled her Spotify account
Yeah, she pulled all her music. So I don't know if it was her
or
that
her
decided to
people.
pull, or yeah, her or her people decided to pull all of her music off of some streaming services. Apparently, she's still on that RDIO one, so you can still stream her stuff there, but you can't stream it anywhere else.
You see, I like at first what I just imagined is that like Taylor Swift canceled her personal Spotify account. She's like,
delete.
that's it. I
Fuck
hate
this."
Spotify. I'm not listening to any more streaming music. Aren't there other artists though that like don't do streaming? Like I imagine Metallica, right? Because they're just
Oh,
the douchebags of
exactly.
our lives. So
Yeah.
I imagine they don't do streaming.
Although
Well,
they said they liked the whole U2 releasing their album for free, like iTunes thing or whatever that was.
I feel like that had to have been a marketing ploy because
Oh,
they
it
got
was.
such bad press for
Right.
their anti peer-to-peer days in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, whatever that one girl's name is who got busted for Napster. Thanks for taking it for all of us.
Jesus. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's not just Taylor Swift. There's a lot of artists that don't release their stuff on streaming music or have pulled it off afterwards. Like I know it took a really long time for Pink Floyd and the Rolling Stones to get onto Spotify because the people who hold the rights to their music didn't want to work with Spotify for a long time. So
Right.
I don't
What's
know.
weird is I know Led Zeppelin has always kind of been really stingy about who they give their rights to, but it seems like all their stuff has always been on streaming. Like I know Rock Band, the Harmonix team was pushing like super hard to get. They even wanted to do like an exclusive, like they did a Beatles rock band. They
Yeah.
wanted to do a Led Zeppelin rock band, and Led Zeppelin, I assume Robert Plant, because he's kind of the stick in the mud about the entire thing, was like, no, we're not going to do it. No, we're not going to do it. But I'm pretty sure you can find all their music on like Spotify and stuff like that. So it's interesting how you pick and choose what you're going to be on and what you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess the crux of this argument is they're trying to figure out how they're going to make money. You know, it's like if streaming music is the future, apparently they're not making very much money off of it because they're pushing back against it. But I mean, what's the alternative? I don't see a viable alternative. People aren't going to go out and buy CDs anymore. It doesn't happen. CD stores are going out of business all over the place, or they're transitioning to other forms of business. And even places like Best Buy barely carry CDs anymore. You know, it's like one rack instead of an entire section.
The last time I went to a Best Buy, it was so weird because, like I said, I'm one of those weird people who still buys physical video media, which like I went in and it's been consolidated from like 20 racks of DVDs and Blu-ray to like 3 racks of everything.
Yeah.
And like you can't find anything, and CDs is even worse. Like it's even worse. What's funny is I have a coworker who not only recently bought a CD, but she accidentally got a clean CD from Walmart. So it's like it felt like I was back in like 1999. It was awful.
What a painful mistake.
I know, right?
Oh,
But it's interesting because it's like so when I got a free trial, I did the whole Google Music Play exclusive, whatever they call it. I forget what it's called, where you get access to the entire Google Music archive. Like you can't only play your music, you can play anything that's on the Google servers, right?
Yeah.
So it's akin to Spotify or your iTunes Match or anything like that, where it's not just your music library, it's everything. And I did it. I did a trial. I think it was like 3 months or something like that. And I enjoyed it. It's fun. But when it ended, I didn't really like beat myself up. Like I was sure, like I said, Netflix has thrown off my total scheme of what I'll pay for things because Spotify costs the same amount per month as Netflix. And Spotify is streaming music, whereas Netflix is streaming video and audio. So I'm like, so Spotify's a ripoff. Which I know is kind of a dumb scale, but it's like Netflix has kind of ruined my perspective on how much I'll pay per month for something. But what's interesting is I always used to be super pro streaming. Like I thought this is the way music's going in the future. Like this is how it's going to be. And even if I have to listen to an ad every 3 songs or whatever, like that's fine. That's okay. Like I'll do it. If I listen to the radio, I'm going to hear way more advertisements anyway. And at least these advertisements will be geared towards me. There's some kind of science behind them. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But then like talking to people who actually make music and like want to make money for making music, they're all really opposed to streaming services. Like they think they're pretty much the worst thing ever because you're getting like fractions of a penny every time your song is being played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah. And I totally get that because on one end of the spectrum, I really appreciate a service like Spotify because I have no problem saying that like every other person in the country on the planet, I've been pirating music forever. Since it was an option, I was like, fuck it. If I'm not going to pay for a CD if I don't know it's good, and I'll buy the CDs for the artists that I like, but for the most part, I'm just going to download shit and put it on my iPod, and then I'll get sick of it and I'll never listen to it again. So Spotify has given me a way to legally obtain the music that I want to listen to, and I feel good because I'm actually paying for it, and I know that the artists are being reimbursed. But on the other end, I know they're being reimbursed very, 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 very little, like a almost nominal. I mean, so even if the entire monthly subscription that I paid for went to one artist, it's still not even what a CD would cost. So I know that they're not making very much money, and that sucks because there are artists who do need money, who do need to get off the grounds. There are other artists that have plenty of money from doing shows and touring, but
Right.
they should still make money off of their music. So it's difficult.
Yeah, because it's like on the one hand, I want to totally just like bitch slap Taylor Swift because I'm like, really, you're upset about the money you make off of Spotify because she's a millionaire, right? She's like a multimillionaire, but at the same time, she does have a point. Like the way that music has always worked is you get reimbursed every time someone listens to your music, But I feel like with the invention or whatever you say, with the coming forth of things like Napster or LimeWire or everything like that, it totally shifted and readjusted the way that media worked in our world, for better or worse. And now, like, the idea of making CDs viable or, like, buying CDs or, whatever you want to call them, digital copies of CDs on iTunes, it's a totally new ball game. And I feel like the more people push to get rid of streaming music, the less money artists will make. Because then just no one will pay. Because there's people like you and there's people like me who now we can feel good because we're actually paying for stuff instead of just ripping it off, which I believe the majority of people are doing. So if stuff like Spotify goes away, if stuff like iTunes Match, Google Music, whatever, go away, people like you and me will just go back to stealing it. And we won't pay anything for it.
Well, doesn't
exactly.
Spotify and what's the Pandora, companies like
Pandora,
that, don't they,
Stitcher, all that.
Yeah, they're barely above water, right? Like those companies, they're not raking it in.
No, yeah, they've used almost all of the money to reimburse the licensing that they have to pay for the music.
Yes,
right.
It's not a very profitable business.
Yeah, that part I don't think really makes it a viable future solution. But I'll drop my opinion in the pool of ideas, which 1% of the population will agree with. But I don't use Spotify or Pandora, and I stopped using di.fm for weird reasons, and that is I like my music to be local because if my internet connection goes down or something, it throws me off and I hate it. And then jump back to your paying for music and stuff like that. I don't normally and haven't for a long time paid for music, but as an example, Armin van Buuren is selling it for $100, so it's not cheap. He's selling all of his year mixes, which I think is, I can't remember how many year mixes, but it's quite a lot. But in the next month or two, I'm planning on buying that. So
yeah,
it's for very specific things. I really really enjoy it. I'm willing to pay a lot of money for it, but for everything else, I'm not gonna drop a dime.
No, and I totally understand that because it's and with our topic that we might talk about sooner or later, kind of fits in the same category. But there's a guy on YouTube, Smooth McGroove, and he does all of the a cappella video game music covers, where it's just him dubbed over 1 million times, and he sings songs. And he charges $8 per album, and there's 20 something songs on every album. I've bought every single one, paid for with actual, US dollars, because it's just this is a dude who makes something that I really appreciate. And there's other random albums where it's I know that it's just a small group that's not super popular, like the Megas that does Mega Man, music and stuff like that. And it's just I feel no problem at all paying for that.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like there needs to be a good mix of streaming, but I also think bands like Radiohead, who release their albums and do pay what you think it's worth, if really you don't want to pay anything and you just want to download it, that's fine. But if you want to give us $10 or $12 or $20 for this album because you think it's worth it, that's fine. I think that they proved that that system is a viable way to release music to the general populace.
And also like the whole like if they're losing out on money, I think it's common knowledge that artists make the majority of their money performing live and touring.
Yeah.
So I have never felt bad at all for like not paying for streaming or other means of getting music from like taking money, because I paid for plenty of concerts and shows for the like bands I really really care about, and like for everyone else they can eat an egg.
I would like.
Yeah, it's like. Oh, go ahead, Anton.
Oh, I was gonna say I think it would be cool to have a service where you could subscribe to an artist. Where you, instead of paying one flat fee where you get access to their entire library and you might jump around and stream who knows what at any point, you could have a service where you pick an artist that you like and you subscribe to them and you get their current catalog and then whatever they release in the future. It's just they're now an artist that you're following, that you paid for. It could be something that's fair, because if you're going to pay $12 for a CD, you could pay $20 to subscribe to an artist and you would get all the current CDs and future CDs. They're still getting a much larger chunk of money than they would from the fractions of a penny from streaming their music,
right,
unless you're constantly listening to them. And it would be a more direct method of, paying for an artist's music, but it still wouldn't be as bad as buying CDs,
Right. So are you saying something like I mean, I don't want to give this company tons of credit, but are you saying like a Twitch TV, but for music, where like you pay a monthly subscription to an artist, or is it like a one-time chunk of change that you just drop and then you get everything?
Well,
monthly, I guess it could be up to them, really. I mean, if they wanted to have like $1 a month or like a $20 lifetime or like the next 5 CDs, it could be kind of sort of like the video game market. I mean, they do this as well. So, not really Kickstarter-y, I guess, but there's, those websites where you can like subscribe to just pay someone for what they do. Like it's not anything specific, but they have like sponsor me websites, and it's for people who do like Anita Sarkeesian has one where she has just pay me for my stuff that I do, and she releases stuff and it's different media, multimedia,
Right. But yeah, I think that's interesting because like Twitch TV has always been a super interesting format, because I subscribe to a couple Twitch channels, and what's funny is the more I've been around Twitch, the more I realize what you are actually paying for is just like most people pay so they can get recognized by the people making the media. They want to be recognized on camera, because most of those people who are making Twitch videos then copy the videos to YouTube where you can get them for free. Yep. So you can tell that like they're not super into it for the money, but it's almost like a community thing. So it would be cool to have like a Twitch idea, but for music, where there is some added benefit where like you're paying a monthly subscription and you get their music, but you also get like to chat with the artist every once in a while. Like they're on stream and you can like ask them questions and stuff like that. Like that would be super cool, I think.
Deadmau5 kind of did that. He would like
which is awesome.
Yeah, like live. I mean, Actually, no, you had to like tweet him. I think at one point in time you could chat with him, but he would watch his like Twitter feed and basically like there was actually a couple times where he like got in contact with people like doing vocals for like future songs during his little like live streams, which was kind of cool. Like he'd be like, like he would just like open up an email this guy sent him for like vocals for a song, play it. And he'd be like, "Oh, that's fucking awesome!" And then like a couple months ago, his album comes out and his vocals are on the album. And like, oh shit, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's super sick. And I mean, even though like I don't think Deadmau5 is like the be all end all that a lot of people think he is, I still think that he approaches music in a really fascinating, forward thinking way. You know what I mean? Like he is very in touch with his fan base.
Yeah, and in terms of like EDM, I feel like he's kind of like I wouldn't say like Hunter S. Thompson, but he's like one of the few like sane voices like in that medium right now, because it's going super mainstream, or mainstream is popular, and it's getting really shitty with all the crap that's out there, and he's like one of the only few people calling people out for that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Well, I just was gonna say I think that added benefits are going to be what's going to save them in the future. I mean, whatever the added benefit may be, but adding something on top of the music, the interaction with the artist, or I would love to be able to have the option to have a subscription service, but then if I want to pay for the FLAC and I can get like the lossless audio to download, that would be great, because there's no option for that. I mean, the highest I think Spotify goes is 320, and that's not even available for everyone. And I'm not an audiophile at all, but there's some things like when I'm listening to a Pink Floyd album, I want to have the lossless audio, because there's little articulate bits that you miss if you have shitty MP3s that you're streaming. So
right, it's funny because like just like us three, obviously, whatever, we're not a super random sampling because we're all friends, but like we're three random dudes just in the United States, right? And what's funny is it's like current culture has, and I don't even want to say current, like even for the last quite a bit in the United States, like there's this common perception that like living the life of an artist is shit, right? Like you get paid shit for doing something you love, and the only reason you're really doing it is because you love it. And it's like, we know that it's not really true because there are some artists who are just millionaires and will be forever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, what I think is like the overarching message and what like record companies or even streaming audio companies need to recognize is that like our generation, people our age, like we recognize art and we're willing to pay for it, which is kind of a new thing. You know what I mean? Like if I really appreciate something, I'm willing to pay for it. I'm willing to give people money to keep making more of it. And it's just kind of a new idea, you know what I mean? Because I really do appreciate the people who are willing to do this. Like making albums, making music is not super easy. Like it's not
not at all.
Just whatever. People don't just crap out music that I want to listen to. So I'm always willing to go like the extra mile to make sure they get money. And it's like my favorite band of all time. So I guess I'm throwing a prop out. If you want to sponsor the podcast, you can talk to Anton.
Yeah.
But my favorite band ever is Guster. And they're coming out with a new album soon. And it's really cool because you can go to their website and they have like, seriously, no exaggeration, like 30 different ways you can buy the album. Anywhere from just like you pay like something like $4 for the digital download all the way up to like you can get vinyl, but even more than that,
cassette.
One of it is I think you pay $100,000 and you go with Guster to a Tesla automotive factory and they buy you a Tesla and drive around with you.
What? That's so cool.
That's one of the things. Like that's one of the options. If you want to pay $100,000 for the album, you can go with the entire band Guster to a Tesla automotive place and they will buy a Tesla for you.
Dude, if I ever buy a Tesla, that's the best way to buy a Tesla. Like,
is it not? Right?
Yeah. Right.
Well, speaking of like that idea, I would pay a large sum of money to meet Gunther and the Sunshine Girls if and when their next album comes out.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. There are a lot of artists that I would pay to either, hang out with for a day or go to their concert and hang out with them before and afterwards.
Or backstage pass or something.
Or like you were talking about, like if they had a stream where I could just chat to them, like I know that they're on the other end and they can respond, like that would just be cool to have like that sort of contact with an artist, because for the most part, I've never met a famous person, period, much less like an artist, besides like seeing people like on stage, but I've never like.
You've met Ryan and I, and we host this podcast. I don't know if you've heard about
That's true. I haven't. Well, I mean, I do know me, which is kind of a big deal. But
you're kind of starstruck.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm speechless. I'm not. But like, I never like shook hands with a famous person, but it'd be cool to know like I've had celebrities answer my questions on Reddit AMAs, and it's like it's so cool. It's like, oh my god, they read what I said. That's awesome. Like, I'm gonna give them gold for that. It's like $3.
Yeah, and it's awesome because it's like I said, this Guster thing. It's so cool because another of the options is you get Skype bongo lessons from the drummer. Like you just Skype into him and he'll teach you how to play the bongo.
That's awesome. How cool would that be?
Like stuff like that. Like, yeah, if I want to pay that much money, because I think it's a pretty sizable sum. I think it's like $2,000 or something like that. But hell, if I had $2,000 to blow and I wanted to give it to my favorite band ever, just to like Skype and bullshit with the drummer of my favorite band while he teaches me how to play bongo, that would be awesome. You know what I mean?
What they need to corner that whale market. The concept of whales. South Park touched on this with the freemium episode this week.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've heard about it though.
I won't spoil. I guess you can't really spoil it. It's like 20 minutes in South Park, but like the general ideas are talking about freemium games, and
I've
like
seen
Canada.
The flip.
Yeah, and Canada releases a freemium game on a phone to get people addicted to it. But there's a section where they show this pie chart, and they're talking about how like 99.5% of people who download this game don't buy anything, or they buy like one little like DLC add-on thing for it, or they buy coins once and spend like $1. So they're not making any money off them. But then there's the people who get addicted to the game and they buy like jewels. Yeah, like Candy Crush. Like they buy the in-game currency by the hundreds of dollars. Like they rack up these huge bills playing this game, and that 0.05% or that 0.5% is enough for them to make money because those people
Yeah.
spend so much money. So corner the market. There's a lot of people with disposable income. There are a lot of people who appreciate art who will find a way to get the money to do these cool things. And I bet you can make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, there's like a handful of artists where I would drop like 4 figures to like go to their show and get like some sort of like interview or like backstage pass or like small hangout or something with.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I've
awesome.
met most of them already, but I haven't had the one-on-one.
Yeah. It's funny. I will go ahead and pimp a book, not only for our listening audience, but also for you two. If you ever get a chance, read the book The Long Tail. And it's about advertising and sales, basically. But what it's all about is, so if you go back 100 years ago, if you want to buy soap, you ride your horse into the general store and you buy the soap that's on the shelves because that's what there is. You don't have a choice. And then like supermarkets are invented and all of a sudden there are more choices. But even like you go back 10 years ago when stores like Best Buy, FYE, Hastings, stuff like that are really big, really they can only afford to stock the 10 CDs that will sell the most.
Yeah.
But then with the invention of iTunes or Napster or whatever you say, all of a sudden the tail flips and the model isn't we need to sell 100 of this one item. It's we need to sell one item 100 times.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the world that we live in now where it's like these tiny garage bands can get discovered because before their CDs never would have been on shelves. Ever, ever, ever. But now people can discover it. People can find it and they can love it, and through their love of it can kind of make it explode huge and everything like that. And it's kind of exactly what we're talking about. It's kind of finding new ways to go about releasing your art, whatever you make, whatever you're doing, finding new ways to reach your audience so that they'll pay you, so that they'll give you money for what you do.
I think a big part of this, like at some point this is going to have to happen, and it's going to have to happen with maybe not movies because movies are such a huge, like massive investment that involves so many people, but specifically for music and for like authors who, release their books or audiobooks, they need to cut out the middleman. Having an agent, having like these companies that represent artists that take such a huge cut of the money that's made that make these decisions. You got to cut those guys out because you don't need them anymore. I mean, maybe you need someone who understands the logistics of managing, a professional presence, but you don't need a whole company to take care of that anymore with the internet. You have instant access to your fans. There's so many ways to release things and so many interesting ways to release your art these days that middleman is what's killing all these markets. Absolutely.
I mean, it goes back to the old adage of it's not what you know, but who you know. And that was the whole point of an agent, right? Is an agent knows who's who in the business, so you get an agent who can hook you up to who you need to know. Yeah. And we're getting to the point where you don't need that anymore. I'm sorry that I railroaded you, Ryan. Go ahead.
So speaking of releasing content, YouTube video game players.
Oh,
let's talk about it.
All right,
excellent.
Ryan, why don't you start?
All right, so. For better for worse, there's a large amount of people making I haven't looked into it, but I can only assume tons and tons of money to basically just videotape themselves playing popular video games and making goofy faces and weird sounds.
Yeah.
The two most, I know there's a lot more, but the two most popular I can think of is PewDiePie and Markiplier.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's way more,
I would
but I don't watch enough of them.
Yeah. I mean, there's seriously, I am guessing, like no exaggeration, probably over 500,000 YouTube channels completely dedicated to video game playthroughs. And I bet that's a very conservative estimate.
So real quick, like here's my just like painting with a broad stroke opinion of this is, I don't like the idea that like Markiplier or PewDiePie or any of those guys make any money off this because I think it's stupid. And
really?
It doesn't really require any skill to just play games and talk about it. And it's not like they're playing them well. They're just playing them for our enjoyment. So I don't really think that you should get money for that. But they do because YouTube has ads and they're fun to like waste time on YouTube. I agree with that. They're fun to watch. On the flip side though, I think people like Angry Video Game Nerd should make some money because he actually does go into like depth and like does bring some like knowledge to the genre. He does like add like some value to what he's doing.
Right. And I mean, kind of what you just went into is the difference between like snuff filmmakers and documentary filmmakers. Like, yeah, I mean, one obviously gives value, whereas the other only provides entertainment.
Right.
Right. Go ahead, Anton. I can tell. Your lips are quivering.
I completely disagree. I adore the YouTube video game streamers. They're my favorite thing. They've almost replaced TV for me. You know, it's like I still enjoy watching TV shows week to week. I've got, you know, my Plex box set up where I watch my TV, but I spend more time per week watching people play video games on YouTube than I do anything else. And I've always said that you don't watch it because you care about the game. You're watching it because you care about the person who's playing the games. Like their personality is entertaining. And I've gotten to the point where the only exclusion I have in my AdBlock Plus on my Chrome is YouTube. Like I don't block YouTube ads so that they can get paid, so they can continue providing this entertaining content. And, you know, I subscribe to their Twitch channels if they have Twitch channels because I want to reimburse them for what they do. And it's a really cool form of entertainment that I really like. There's so many really interesting ways to interact with a game, and every person who plays a game plays it differently. And especially when you know someone, you know how they play and you know their personality type, seeing them play through a game that you've played or that you will play is really, really fun. And
see, I think that's why we disagree, is because you're watching it for the players. I'm watching it for the game, and I have to suffer through their personalities. That's the explanation why we.
Well, I'm watching it for the games too. Like I only watch, like, even streamers that I like, I don't watch games that I wouldn't play. You know, I only watch them play games that I would play or games that I would find interesting. And you know, it's cool because there's some games that I don't want to play, but I want to experience. You know, and that's a whole nother argument with you
want to watch them play 20 minutes instead of you playing for 30 hours.
Exactly. Like I had more fun watching Jesse Cox play through Beyond Two Souls than I did playing Beyond Two Souls myself, because it's a story-driven game. It's a point A to point B. You know, it's lots of cutscenes. I mean, the action, the video game portion of it, you could entirely strip out and just string together the cutscenes, and you'd have a friggin' movie. Like that's the kind of game it is. And those are fun games to watch because now I'm able to just watch the game and not have to go through the effort of interacting with it. And somebody I enjoy is being funny in the background talking about it.
Yeah, I can understand.
I'm just gonna hop in real quick, and then you can keep going. Fuck David Cage.
No, continue. Don't fuck David Cage. He's a golden god.
He needs to never make another video game ever again. People need to stop giving him money.
Everyone keep giving him money. He is great.
He goes out and floats in the ocean so he can jump every shark that is alive.
I know, it's great. It's entertaining. His games, you never know what to expect. Do they follow a formula? Yes, they do. But do you ever know what's coming? Did you see the crazy desert Indian section coming? No.
No.
Nobody
saw that coming.
Why you
don't expect what's coming is because it doesn't make any fucking sense
I know,
all.
But is it
it's
fun?
Shitty writing. It's shitty writing.
Shitty writing. Well, I mean,
we can talk about David Cage some other time. But
I think
this
it's
is perfect because just like any argument, I actually fall perfectly between you two. Because on one hand, I see
how
value.
it seems to work. It's
I know, right? Yeah. One of us has to be the voice of reason. I guess this time it's me, which is weird.
Not me.
But so I'm a really weird flighty person where like I will randomly get really, really, really into something for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden I just don't give a shit anymore. Because like I was super early to the Tobuscus bandwagon. Like, I used to watch that guy do everything. He just random YouTuber. I think right now he's managing 4 different channels. Like, he does one channel is all his daily vlogs. Another one is just like random stuff he does. But he has one that's entirely games, and it's just Toby Games. And he got really in. Like, he was a direct competitor with PewDiePie. Like, he was the one who has like 600 episodes of Happy Wheels and like just these games that I have no interest in playing, right? And I watched him, and I thought that he was just like a fun guy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I would hang out with this dude. Like, he seems like he has ADHD, super bad, but he would be super fun to hang out with for a day, right? But then as I watched him more and more and watched as, like, he evolved to what the YouTube community wanted him to be, I didn't like watching him anymore. Like, all of his reactions were way over the top, and they seem super canned. And I feel that way about a majority of YouTubers. Like,
Yeah,
Ryan, I know you
way.
personally have a huge beef with Markiplier.
Yes.
And while I have watched many Markiplier videos, and I kind of like him as a person, I do not disagree that he overdoes a lot, especially when he's playing horror games.
Like, I don't mean to like single him out. Like, he's only like on a scale of like one, like out of like 100 points, he's only like 1 point worse than PewDiePie in my mind.
Right.
So I don't like PewDiePie. I don't like any of those guys. I feel like their personalities were like taken from like Blue's Clues when I'm watching them. Like
right.
their main target is like adolescents. Like if you ever watch like YouTubers like go to their conferences, it's mainly like middle school, high schoolers, like stuff like that. That being said, I like every once in a while, like if a video game comes out and I don't want to play it, I do the same thing Anton does, where it's like I don't want to play it, but I'll watch this dude play for 10, 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, no, a lot of it goes into time you have, right? Like, it's like, I don't have time to play every video game that comes out. I just don't. But there's some where it's like, this doesn't quite make my cut for I'm going to buy it and sit down and play it, but I still really want to know what it's all about. So I'll watch someone else play it because I can do it while I'm at work. I can do it while I'm doing other things. I don't have to pay a ton of attention to it, but I still get to experience whatever the game developer wanted me to experience in you know, some small way.
Yeah.
And it's like the channel that I watch more than anything else is actually Best Friends Play.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
it's just
that
like
one's
it's
not bad.
and it's fun. And some of their videos, honestly, are almost intolerable just because it's so ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because they go off on so many tangents and they're talking about nothing related to the video game. Like there are some where like 30 minutes in, they're talking about anime that came out 30 years ago, and I have no idea. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's fine. But on the most part, it feels like I'm sitting in a living room with friends of mine while we play video games. And that's huge. You know what I mean? Like that's something that I love doing with my friends. I think it's something really cool because you feel like a part of the community. You feel like you have these friends who play through video games and have the same sense of humor as you do and make the same jokes that you would make with your friends. And that's kind of cool. That being said, it's like I don't know how long these guys and this will last. You know what I mean?
I think they're going to do like what Boxy, which if you guys remember, I know you remember, Anton, I think she got her start on 4chan.
Yep, absolutely.
But anyway, basically they're for all the money they're making, like it doesn't end there. Most of the time they move on to like weird, odd like internet shows, or like sometimes into like TV. Like I was watching a documentary where the girl who does like the drunk kitchen thing is in like LA, and like she's like doing like extras and stuff, and like so they're trying to like these people like the spotlight, most of them anyway. So they want to like either keep it going, or they want to turn into like their own personal brand, or move more into the entertainment industry. So most of these people do have a future, even like if like YouTube goes down or video games stop getting made or something, you know, anything weird happens.
Well, yeah, and I know that like that is what a lot of them are pushing, is they think they have personalities that need to be seen and like experienced, right? Because I know that, like for example, Tobuscus, he was in a TV show, The Angry Orange, that was like a syndicated TV show. He's been voices in other things. Markiplier just recently did that thing with Disney where he was doing like a promotional work with Disney, and it's like, yeah, honestly, probably all of these people who make these YouTube videos, it's a means to an end. They all want to be the Lonely Island, right? They want to be called by some rich producer one day who says, oh my god, you're so funny, we want to pay you to come to New York. Yeah,
do you guys
exactly.
remember that guy? Oh god.
Yeah.
I would say that I think there's a vast majority of, well, not a vast majority, I think there's a segment of the YouTubers that just enjoy that they can do this as their job. I don't know if they're necessarily looking for a means to an end. It's just that, you know, this is something everybody wants to have, that job where they enjoy going to work, you know, and that's not the case for everyone. You know, nobody enjoys their job. Everyone hates their job. Everyone doesn't want to go to work. But how cool would it be if you could get paid to do what you enjoy? And these people are entertaining. The ones who are successful are entertaining. The people who aren't entertaining, you know, it never picks up and never takes off. But for the people who do have cool personalities, it's given them a way to get paid, in some cases get paid well, to just have a good time. And you know, if it's entertaining for people, I think that's really cool. And it's good for the video game market. You know, a lot of the big publishers want to argue that people will watch the games on YouTube and then not buy the games. And
Nintendo, like we all just basically said we do.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's true, and it's absolutely true. There are quite a few games that I've watched on YouTube and I have no interest in playing, and I'm not going to go out and buy, but I wouldn't have bought those anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? The games that I'm going to buy no matter what, especially games that are mechanics based. You know, I might watch somebody else play them too because I love the game and I want to get other people's input and see other people play them. But I'm still going to buy them. I mean, there's never been a game that I was going to buy. I watched someone play on YouTube and I said, well, fuck, I've already seen it, so now I'm not going to buy it. I mean, I watched Beyond Two Souls before I went and bought it and played it because I wanted to play the game and because I love David Cage because he's a goddamn genius. But beyond that, you know, but like the indie game market, it's so cool when a YouTuber who's popular picks up an indie game that just got greenlit and they play it on their channel and everyone's like, oh my god, that's cool, I never would have heard of that. And then they get this huge surge. You know, every time a big name YouTuber, like every time Total Biscuit does a what the fuck is on indie game, you can watch their sales and they go through the fucking roof because everybody goes out and buys them. And it's a cool way to spread the word.
And that's another reason that I can't be too mad about it, is I kind of feel like YouTubers are almost single-handedly responsible for the like persistence of the survival horror genre. Like It really is people playing indie survival horror games that made things like Outlast possible. That never would have happened if people weren't playing Slender, you know what I mean? And Amnesia. And they realized that there was a huge market for people who like playing horror games, but that these giant video game developers aren't going to spend the money on it because they can turn out, you know, FIFA 2016 and make billions of dollars and, you know, 240 million sales, like, units moved. Whereas when you make a survival horror game, you just don't. You never will sell that unit. Right.
Yeah, it's widened the demographic. You know, I didn't start playing horror games until I started watching people play horror games because I just figured I wouldn't like them. You know, I don't want to be scared, you know, was kind of my opinion, so I'm not going to worry about it. But then I saw people playing, and I'm like, oh, this is fun, and I started to see the tropes, and I started to like, you know, the different aspects of it. And so now, you know, I didn't get done playing. I'm now done playing Alien Isolation. I didn't finish it because it's horrifying, and I'm a little girl. But you know, it was fun, and I probably wouldn't have touched those games if it wouldn't have been for, you know, YouTube. So it's definitely widened the demographic for those genres, which is cool.
Definitely. I'm really glad my mic has a mute button.
Yeah, John's over here dying. Absolutely.
I was. I just died for a minute, and I had to turn off my mic.
Did you try breathing in liquid again?
I did. It doesn't work.
Nope.
No, I have an issue. Like, I honestly think if you were to take a subset of humanity, I think I choke on my spit roughly 70% more than most human beings. Like, there's just something wrong. I don't know what's up.
This is where natural selection is failing. We should be weeding you out, but
Darwin would personally shoot me in the face. For real. Like, let's get this guy out of the breeding pool.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. I do feel like I think the future for video games on YouTube is bleak. I think that the big publishers who have a lot of money, you know, Ubisoft, EA, these companies are going to get are going to continue to be upset with the fact that people aren't buying their games and just watching them on YouTube, and they're going to figure out a way to get something passed that's going to shut it down.
Well, especially if they keep putting out crap like Battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then they deserve to go under.
Shots fired, Ryan. Shots fired.
Dude, I have emotion invested in Battlefield, and they have like thrown that stuff in the trash. I'm pissed.
Yeah. I was telling Ryan earlier, I played Battlefield 4 for the first time this weekend.
Fucking ridiculous.
And it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
Yeah. And yeah, like what Anton said, I mean, I totally agree with it. My favorite, and he's not even a YouTube personality, he's more of a Twitch personality, but it's Lobos Jr. And he like is consistently saying, like, people are always like, why don't you stream more? Why don't you like do this for your main job? And he's like, one, it doesn't pay enough. Two, I like my job. And he works for EA. And people are always giving him shit, right? Because they're like, oh, it's so evil. EA's so evil. And he's like, dude, whatever. I work in QA. Like, what do you want from me? It's a job. I enjoy doing my job. Mm-hmm. I don't control whether or not they're going to do pay as you go. Like, it is what it is. And he loves doing QA. He loves messing with video games and making sure that they're fun and that they're good to play. And it's stuff like that where it's like, yeah, I totally understand. He's a guy who loves video games. He loves video game culture. He loves video game development. And he plays video games to show people, like, yeah, this is what it is, and this is why it's good, this is why it's bad, this is why you should buy it, this is why you shouldn't buy it. And it's just, I don't know, it's refreshing.
And it's going to hold, and like you said, if they keep releasing shitty games, it's going to hold developers accountable, because if they know that they have a viewing segment as well as a playing segment, and they know that the personalities are not, I mean, they're not being paid hopefully they're not being paid by the developers, but if it's bad, they're going to go out of their way to show off the bad mechanics. And it's funny to watch, when you see a game glitch out and people start laughing on YouTube and they're having a great time like exploiting the glitch that they found, that looks bad on the game. So hopefully, the QA will do better, and it'll improve the video game market, because they know there's a larger segment of the population watching.
Yeah, I mean, like EA games, like big developer games, I mean, that's like going to the movies to see like Transformers or like any other shitty Michael Bay or Bruckheimer film, and like you're like right when the action hits, there's just like scene missing for like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's like you pay like tons of money, all this money went into it, and it's crap. Where like you have like all these other like indie developers or smaller companies putting out way better stuff.
Stuff that has to do well, because if you release an indie game and it's your final product and it sucks and there's glitches and it doesn't work and there's like a problem. There was a game, I don't remember its name, but even if I did remember its name, I wouldn't want to plug it because it was so bad. But there was a game that someone released, it got pushed through Steam, people started buying it, and they didn't finish it. Like you get to like level 7 of what's supposed to be like level 10, and there's a note at the end that says, hey, this is as far as we got with the game, and we didn't want to have a bad ending, so we have no ending. So we might release an update in the future with an ending. And people were furious. People freaked out. It's like one of the few times that Steam has issued refunds for people. Like they pulled it off the market, and Steam issued refunds for everyone who bought it. And it was this huge fiasco. And that developer, I guarantee that game was never released again. Or if it was, that developer probably went defunct, because that's people get that bad, that bad taste in their mouth for what they've done.
Well, yeah,
and it kills them.
Like gamers, like we're fine waiting. Like same with movies too. Like if you guys need 6 more months to make it good, we'll wait 6 more months. We're not like, just give it to me now. Like if you guys need whatever amount of time to like make it 100%, take whatever time you need.
Unless it's Half-Life 3, then it's just fucking release it.
Right.
I don't care if it's bad. Just give it to us. God damn it. Come on. But except for that. But yeah, Gabe. But no, I do agree. Yeah, that's, and like you were saying earlier, our generation, I think specifically more than past generations, really appreciates the arts in a new, interesting way. And I will wait and I will pay more for a good product. If I know it's from a developer that's going to release a fantastic game, if they tell me it's going to be delayed a year, fine. Same with like how I feel about operating systems. Don't release your fucking operating system if it's shit. I will wait. We've got stuff that works now. We're still fans. We'll continue to be fans of your product or your products. But don't sell me shit. Don't break my trust.
Well, and I think you guys probably feel the same as I do. But like I think with our generation, we feel better like giving more money if we know it's going toward the person who made the art or content or whatever it is. We feel better giving it to them instead of like Virgin Records.
Yeah,
gets the money instead of blah blah. Like if we know it's going directly to the artist, like I will pay a little bit more than like if something weird happened. It was like, well, the studio you can buy it for $5, but if it goes to the artist, it's $10. Like I'll give $10 to the artist.
Yeah, no, I agree. We want to support the people who are actually doing it instead of, like Anton said, those middlemen who are providing a service we don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're providing a service that's of no value to the consumer. I mean,
not anymore.
Not anymore, exactly. Yeah, and like you said, like the agent was needed to, introduce you to people and get your stuff sold from the artist's standpoint. The agent was also there to introduce us to good music. They found an artist that would have otherwise been unreleased, and they got him a record deal, and now the public can listen to the music. So paying that middleman used to be a valuable service to us as well. But now I can find music from anyone. Anyone can release a song out of their basement, and I can listen to it. So, and there are a lot of online services that will point me into directions. If I like this band, you'll also like, and it'll give me this huge list of, obscure artists that I can listen to. I can do this on my own now. I don't need to pay someone to do it.
Yeah, agents are websites.
Yeah, it's defunct. It's a defunct business model that needs to go away.
Yep.
And there are good artists, and that's the problem with people who like hate on EA. I hate EA. Like I'm not gonna say that I'm not one of them. EA sucks. They're a terrible company that releases shit products, and they're more and more shit. They have terrible customer service. They have stupid DRM policies. Blah 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 blah. Everyone hates EA, but you know how I don't hate the developers at EA. Those people make good games. They pour their heart and their soul into the products, and there's marketing teams and business teams and everyone else at the company who's ruining it and making the bad decisions and creating the games and cutting the games down to the point where they're shit. But those developers deserve to be paid for the awesome work they do. I mean, those are beautiful games that, they are massive projects, and they're the ones who are losing in this because their talents are going to waste.
Yeah, once again, it's the artists getting screwed.
Yep. Damn artists. Always
Those damn
screwed.
artists getting screwed.
Starving EA developers, starving artists.
Those starving EA multimillionaires.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. See.
I like that. I don't know. The world just needs to figure its shit out.
I guess we'll see. I don't know. I don't have an answer. No.
Neither do I.
Well, the answer is the same. There has to be a way that you can pay the people, the artists that you like directly. It has to happen.
Right. Make good shit and allow us to pay you.
Yeah. Well, it's just like a weird cycle, though, right? Because like, all right, say like the EA developers, like a big group of them, like the talented ones, like get together and they're like, screw this. They like create their own game developer company. They get really big. They like sell off the shares, or like they hire like all the HR people, accounting people, whatever, and then they turn to shit. They turn into EA again, and it's just a weird shit cycle. Like if you don't stay small and like keep an eye on that stuff and keep it like focused, it turns into another EA.
I think it just goes back into like keeping in contact with the people who are buying the products or the services that you provide. Like those small indie companies, the reason that they feel such a pressure to provide a good product is because they have their ear to the ground and they receive direct response from the people who are testing and playing their product. And they know that if they don't make something good enough, that they won't sell any copies and they won't put food on their table and their company will go bankrupt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like when you look at, even though it's funny because like I know that I keep going back to Outlast, the survival horror game, but everyone's like, oh my god, like it's made by this company I've never heard of, Red Barrels, and it's like, okay, so it's a bunch of game developers who had been in the business for a long time.
Yeah.
Like they were established people who knew how to make video games. It's not like a bunch of dipshits walked in with their dicks in their hands and were like, hey, let's make a video game, whatever. Like, the people at Rareware who made GoldenEye. Anyways, but they turned out a totally amazing, revolutionary horror genre game. And now everyone's like, if you just type in, like, if you go to, like, your generic Google search and start typing in, like, Red Barrels or Win Red Barrels or whatever, everyone is asking, when is their next game coming out? What's their next game? What are they doing now? Like, what's going to happen? And they're being kind of hush-hush about it, which I think is smart. Like, as a small team that's just, I mean, they had one huge success. They're going to have to try even harder. I mean, the same thing, we always talk about the same thing is true with music, right? If you want to know an artist a lot, don't look at their first album, look at their second album. Because it's like, their first album, they probably wrote those songs over many, many years waiting to get a record deal, waiting for their shot, waiting for everything. But their second album is the one where there's pressure, where now there's a standard set where people are expecting a certain amount of quality, and that's what kind of shows you exactly what they're making. Unlike these huge companies that are making the same game every year and changing one or two mechanics. And yes, I'm looking at you, Modern Warfare and FIFA and every sports game and Battlefield and everything.
Yeah.
So
Go for it, Anton.
I was going to say, so what's the solution? I mean, I guess if we're going to sit here and say that, this business model doesn't work, I guess, I don't know if we're talking about specifically video games or music anymore. I mean, how do you scale art in today's world? That's the point, is that every art, movies, music, video games, authors, everyone gets to the point where once you get big enough, you have to incorporate the business world into art. I mean, you have to hire people, you have to have these, corporations work with you in order to keep the art scaling at these exponentially larger levels. What's the answer?
I think, in my opinion, the answer is to stay as small as you can. Like, I mean, it's that thing like where they say, like, once you hire 20 people, then you have to hire like 10 people to manage those like 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
But stay as small as you can, like basically just don't end up like EA, and just keep like quality like over quantity, and just try to push out like quality. Like I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna edit this.
No, that's
I think it's lazy. I mean, I think it's to the point where people get lazy and they find the path of least resistance, and it's not their fault. I would do the same thing if I got big doing some sort of artistic, medium. But there's a point where you can say, I've been busting my balls my entire life trying to get this out, and I've done all this work, and now I'm finally at a point where I'm making enough money off of my small quality content that I can pay someone to take over the mundane shit. And it's that moment when you turn from an artist into, a business person, and you now have a business to work with. And, it's about working hard, keeping your team streamlined to the point where everyone's doing a lot of work, and you're keeping the team small and you're keeping the quality high, and that's hard to do.
Well, I think like one of the bigger reasons for all this is it's hard. Like art, I think in its very like essence isn't supposed to make tons of money, right? Like you have all these like one-hit wonders out there that should have stayed maybe one-hit wonders. Like maybe Limp Bizkit wasn't supposed to go on to make more than one album. Like maybe they weren't.
Obvious.
Maybe they were only supposed to make one, but instead, an artist like comes out like with one thing, they make a little bit of money. All these people come in and say like, "Hey, that was great, but we can make way more money." Try to like make a lightning in a bottle again, and they just keep trying to do the same thing over again. And before they know what they have, they packaged it and patented it, and more Jurassic references.
More Jurassic Park references.
Yeah.
And gotta sell it. You gotta sell it. First
Always
of all, let me jump in and say, if you ever talk shit about Fred Durst again, I will cut you. Second of all, no, I'm just kidding. I honestly think that we already have found the formula. It's just that companies are slow to adapt to it, and that is the Amazon Newegg formula of I never go shopping that I don't search for something and then immediately filter for customer reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like for me, what other people my age who are interested in the same things are saying about it is the law. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I want something that 1 million different companies make, and there's 100 different models of it. Which one should I buy? You know what I mean? And I let people who buy stuff, because, I mean, with how many people in the world that are just consumers, everybody is buying stuff. Like the Steam community, which we've mentioned a couple times, it's huge.
Humble bundle.
Massive.
Right. And Steam reviews, for me, like, that's what makes it. That's reading what people say about it, reading people who, like, I hate to be mean, but it's kind of like, all the jokes about Reddit and how they talk about, like, the new army and these people who are willing to wade through all this shit to give us what's good. But there are people that have way more fiduciary funds than I do that are willing to just toss money at new games and experience them, and then they can give a quantifiable rating to what it is, and then I know where I want to give my money. Mm-hmm. And it's like we all agree that we will give artists money, and I am way more willing to pay for a product that has been tested and reviewed than I am for something where I'm just foraying into a brand new world that I don't know anything about.
Well, yeah, it's like back in the day, if a new like video game out for the SNES or Genesis, like one of us would rent it, and then like maybe at school the next day we would tell someone else like this game is shit or this game is crap. You had to, like, one way or another, you had to put a little bit of money into it to like find out if it was crap or great. And now we have thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people reviewing it to give us like an overarching view of if it's something you should put money into or not.
Right. And that's I think you hit on a good point. That's where these big developers are going to struggle in the future, is that, especially with like the idea of pre-sale bonuses or pre-order bonuses, and there was the time when Square Enix said that Tomb Raider was a commercial failure because it didn't make up X million dollars in the first week or the first 2 weeks or whatever the primary selling period. And they focused like a business on the return on investment off the immediate sale. And I never buy anything right when it's released. I mean, with the exception of I trust that, like, if Blizzard releases something, I'm going to buy it day one because I trust them. But for the most part, I'm going to let a game come out. I'm going to let people play it. I might watch some people play it on YouTube. And eventually, when I hear generally good things about it, then I'll go buy it because I know that I'm going to get my money's worth.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand the whole return on investment thing, but it's like, I know that one of the developers that drives me most crazy is Capcom, and Capcom just has like a hard and fast rule. If they don't sell 100 million units or something like that, they don't make a sequel. It's just like, it's not financially viable for them. And then we have these super awesome characters and games that have such a rich franchise history that just die. And yeah, I'm speaking specifically of Mega Man. Like, I grew up playing every Mega Man game, and Mega Man is as dead as he ever has been. And I know that, like, everyone was super hype about him getting included in Smash and everything like that, but it's like, no, Mega Man is dead. As like a franchise, yeah, I know, Ryan. Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers.
It makes me laugh every time. You don't have to stop. It just makes me laugh.
Well, and Ubisoft's the same way. They came out and Ubisoft made a statement that said that if they don't see franchise potential in a title, they're not going to pick up new IP.
Yeah,
the only reason they will ever pick up a new IP is if they see that there's going to be a way they can franchise it out and make a yearly profit off of a new release of that game every single year. And that's why we get 17 fucking Assassin's Creeds. You know when the last a good Assassin's Creed game was? The first one. And a little bit of Black Flag. Black Flag was pretty cool. But beyond that, every fucking Assassin's Creed game has gotten worse and worse and worse because there's less and less time to develop it each time. And yeah, God, it sucks, man.
I'm going to argue with one thing. I'm going to say the last good one was 2, because 1 wasn't that good.
I haven't played any of them, so I'm not going to add anything.
No,
one might be nostalgia, and two is all right, and 3 is where it really off the rails and made no goddamn sense. And Black Flag was fun, but that's because they changed the formula so much. And I have a key for Unity, so I'm going to play Unity as well. But I'm pretty sure it's going to suck, and because they went back to the old formula and they only added, now you can play with your friends. I'm a sneaky spy guy. Like, I don't need friends, man.
No, that was like what put the nail in the coffin for Dead Space for me. Is like, now you can play with a friend online, and it's like,
you can't play a horror game with a friend.
Game.
Yeah,
why do I want to
dude.
team up? Yeah.
Horror like, one of the key features of horror is isolation. Like, you don't play like a big group horror game. That's not how it works. You got to be alone and scared.
Right. Exactly.
You're not scared with a bunch of friends.
So Anton, are you gonna play Overwatch then?
I am going to play Overwatch. I'm going to play it as soon as it gets released. I'm super excited about it.
I have mixed feelings about it. Like, I watched Well, all right. So here's my mixed feelings. Like, I like the art. The maps look awesome, which maps to me are kind of like the make or break it for FPSs.
Yeah.
I love maps. But
which is why Call of Duty sucks. I'll just say it. Like, the first couple of Call of Duties, awesome.
Yeah.
Their maps got so tired and generic that it just wasn't fun.
I was going to say the first Modern Warfare, loved it. Anything after that, it's dead to me. I pretend it doesn't exist.
There's nothing new. There's nothing for me here. Like, I've played this game, and with every new release, I'm less and less interested.
Destiny almost did it right. Like, I'm really into these kind of games, so I can drill down on this pretty deep, but I'll try to keep it quick. Basically, what Destiny should have done to revolutionize the first-person shooter market is they should have used the World of Warcraft model instead of the Diablo model. And so they use the Diablo model where you get gun drops all the time. Every time you kill something, it has the opportunity to drop a gun, and it drops guns all the time. You get like your inventory just filled with all these guns. The same thing in Diablo. When you kill Diablo, every time you kill something in Diablo, it drops something, and it's usually just like white generic trash that you're going to vendor and get currency for.
Right.
That works in Diablo because you're monster slaying, you're crawling through dungeons, you're loading up your backpack, and you go back to town, you pick out the good stuff, you throw away the bad stuff. It works for Diablo, but it doesn't work for a first-person shooter because you're analyzing these choices on the fly while you're fighting, and you want to be able to switch out to a new gun immediately if you get a good one. And so that's what makes it tedious and boring. What they should have done is they should have used the WoW model, where there's still, different types of guns. And just like, there's standard, uncommon, rare, legendary, epic, classes of guns. Mm-hmm. But it should be something where I'm going to get my group of friends. I'm going to get 5 to 10 people together. We're going to go do this dungeon or this compound or whatever it is you have to go, work through, kill the trash mobs, and then get to the boss. And then that boss is going to drop something really good. It's like this boss drops a really, really good gun for a sniper. And so we're going to go do this run with our sniper friend, getting that specific sniper rifle for our sniper so that our group as a whole is improved. which that's a really cool way to do it. So you can hunt for the specific loot that you want, and you can gear up and get best in slot items so that you have there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, if I kill this boss enough times, I'll get the gun that will improve my character. Whereas the current model with Destiny is I'm going to kill random shit and hope something good drops, and I'm just gonna kill time and bang my head against the wall until I get an item. And hopefully it'll be one that I need, or maybe it won't, and fuck my life.
No, I think that I agree. Like everything you just said. I know that you and I so often argue, but I mean, that's perfect. Like the idea of, I don't know, kill 250 million enemies, and maybe what you want will drop, as opposed to work through a dungeon that's actually difficult and challenging and beat something where you actually feel like, to me, I would call it like the Dark Souls model, where it's like in Dark Souls, if you beat bosses, you get their souls, and you can turn their souls into these super epic weapons. But they're not always the best weapons, but they're always good. You know what I mean? They're always something you want. At least your first couple playthroughs through the game, you don't want to burn those boss souls because you want to see what the weapons are that they make. And for a first-person shooter, that makes way more sense, especially a party-based, like, you are playing with friends, you build teams, you're like, this team is my team, and we play together. You want to do everything you can to maximize your efficiency as a team. And if it's something more like that, where it's like you're guaranteed a certain return on your investment, that's better.
So I can't speak too much to the like MMO stuff that I'm glad you guys are here to like shed some light on, but basically like my perfect FPS would be sort of like take Battlefield for its like you select a class, and after that you level up and you can't like fully customize the character, but you can like fully customize the loadout and get used to something that you really like, that you can like focus and get really, really good at, but keep it very like team centric. Like you could level up throughout the game, but you can level up much more enjoyably and quickly with a team, because you're like one of like 4 or 5 people that need to be together. But just create like a very like vast world to go around in.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah, it needs to be the future of FPSs are going to be team-based, loot-based, or item-based games. Because that's your only incentive to continue playing. I mean, if the incentive was I'm going to work as a team and we're going to go kill this dictator and we're going to work through his mansion and kill off his lackeys and kill the dictator, that's fun the first time. But I'm not going to want to do that again and again, and I'm not going to want to do it repeatedly, and I'm not going to want to do it on increasingly difficult settings.
Yeah, it's just grinding.
That's just grinding for the sake of grinding. There has to be a carrot on the stick, and that's better loot. So yeah, I mean the loot-based systems have to stay.
Right, this isn't farming in Final Fantasy 11.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like I don't know if you guys ever played it, but I sunk more hours than I'm willing to admit into Star Trek Online, and that game is all grinding. You just go from world to world, and the missions were sort of okay. Because I played it before it was free, so not all the bugs worked out. So a lot of times you'd go to a world and your game would crash. But you'd go world to world, complete missions, get stuff, go back to the base, try to buy a new ship if you can, buy new stuff, fix stuff, get more like crew, go to another world, like take out some more ships in between, level up, and it was just grinding. Like having said that, playing with other people made it enjoyable, but it was still kind of a crap game.
What's funny is when I think about the games that I enjoyed playing multiplayer the most, they are the first-person shooters where multiplayer was an afterthought. Because in the original GoldenEye, like it wasn't going to be a thing. But then at like last minute, someone's like, "What if we have it so you can play with 3 of your friends?" And as we all know, that is literally like the genesis. Okay, maybe not the genesis, but kind of revolutionized the way that first-person shooters multiplayer work.
It's clobbering time.
Nice. Dude, I hate the clob. I hate it. But
shoot a chair, it explodes. It makes sense.
But then the other one is Halo, and Halo, I mean, was entirely supposed to be this first-person, huge, vast movie experience, and then they're like, but we'll throw in multiplayer as well so you can shoot your friends. Yep. I seriously think still to this day, the hours that I have sunk most into, it was LAN Halo. Like, so many times just, hey, everyone bring your Xbox over to my house. I got this, LAN hub. Let's just play for hours and hours and hours. Exactly, and it's like it goes from everything like full size maps, like hey, let's play Blood Gulch, capture the flag, where it's
Blood
like
Gulch.
hour-long matches to hey,
Christ.
let's play in this tiny map, shotguns only. Like where it's just like you can totally customize it and it's super fun, but it's like, but as companies have switched and they're that now these first-person experiences are like whatever, just like
I was going to say that I think Rockstar has an opportunity to like really take this whole genre to the next level.
GTA?
Yeah, for GTA. Like GTA so they're releasing it for PC soon, and they're adding in they added in first person. So
I heard about
like
that.
they had to go and they'd like create like all the interior models that didn't exist for the inside of the cars, and they had to kind of adjust the some of the aspect ratios and things on the building so that it would look right in first person. But they went through and they created it, and so now you're going to be able to play GTA 5 in first person, and that's not what they're going to succeed with. I think that needs to be the groundwork for GTA 6 or the next GTA. This should be an online team-based game. You start out by yourself, you join a gang or you join a mafia or you join a organized crime syndicate, and that's your guild, so to say. Instead of just getting weapons, like in GTA, you just get a shotgun, and every shotgun's the same. It's just the shotgun, But you could have classes of weapons that you could unlock and get better and better, so you could do heists better, Payday style. You could do, or you could just go around and cause random chaos, more efficiently. You could get into turf wars more efficiently by getting better weapons, by working together, by doing quests, by getting unlocks. And they're the kind of company that has the money to sink into doing it right, that has like a phenomenal fan base already, and they're known for making extremely high quality games. They could do it.
Yeah.
do you know what I want instead?
What?
I want a new Red Dead Redemption. I want the same idea, but I want it to be set in the Old West. We all have horses, and it's like you could either be like a lawman or an outlaw, and like you just hang out at your hideout, you go out, you like rob places, and it alerts the lawmen in the area that like a place is being robbed, just like it does in Red Dead Redemption, where it's like, oh, like civilians nearby are in need or whatever like that. And it's like you can do everything from like holding someone up on the trail to taking over a fort. You know what I mean? And just make that an online multiplayer experience, and it would be awesome.
Yeah, if either of those games ever come to fruition, I am totally on board. And also, Rockstar, if you were ever to do that with Vice City, I will attempt some sort of like Tron-esque invention and try to transport myself into Vice City and live there for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Dude, I will VR that shit forever. I'll buy an Oculus Rift just for that, so I can live in the 80s and be.
I
in a
will
sweet
become
80s
the
gang.
fattest, greasiest person as I just sit in my float chair.
Do you
and
ever
play
run
that
the
game all day
underworld?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully, Rockstar, if you're listening and you want to sponsor the podcast because of our great idea, and then you want to do our great idea and then give us free copies and a royalty, let us know.
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say just let us come work for Rockstar.
If
If you want us to be idea men for Rockstar, we'll do it.
Give me that money. Give me that idea money.
I
I'll
need
help
that
you out.
paper.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Yep. It's about that time, I guess.
About that time.
Yeah. Well,
We are, as always, we don't have anyone to plug because no one has sponsored us yet, so I'm going to plug ourselves. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/user/BitLag podcast. We are also on SoundCloud. Just search for BitLag or BitLag podcast. We will eventually be on iTunes. Once I'm done selling my soul to Apple and jumping through all of their hoops, we will be on iTunes hopefully soon.
let's just make up a name for the guy who's reviewing our podcast, just so we have someone to curse. I'm gonna choose Kevin.
I'm going to choose Smarf.
Kevin. Smarf. Oh, you see too many cooks. Too many cooks.
Too many cooks.
Too many cooks. Oh my God! If you haven't seen Too Many Cooks, go watch Too Many Cooks. It's Adult Swim being Adult Swim again, and it's the best. It's not bad. It's wonderful.
It's bad
it's a
in
masterpiece.
in the best way.
It's a masterpiece. Those guys, give those guys money. Like whoever's responsible for giving them money.
You can never have too many
cooks.
Well, I think we just found what to plug.
There you go. Too Many Cooks. The Aqua Teen Hunger Force crew. If you want to sponsor the podcast, let us know.
Excellent.
Or give us jobs. So anyways, there you go. YouTube, SoundCloud, eventually iTunes.
Eventually, your living room.
Eventually, your living room. Hey, we were talking about, paying our. You want to pay us like $100,000? I'll go with you to buy I'll buy you a Tesla if you pay me $100,000.
Yeah, I would too.
We can hang out, man. We'll get like chili dogs. We can go like to a zoo. Whatever you want to do, man. Like, let us know.
I'll throw in. I will not go to a zoo. I will buy you a Tesla, and I'll go with you to get chili dogs.
If you can give us $5,000, I'll go to you to like some shady place and buy like a '93 Honda Accord, and I'll have hot dogs in my pocket. Pocket dogs. You wouldn't even have to buy me food.
Exactly.
I'll be there for you though. Moral
We're
support.
a fully customized entertainment unit. Like you can have 1, 2, or all 3 of us, and just let us know where and when, and we'll give you a price. You give us that Skrilla,
that's
man.
our system. You tell us how much you're willing to pay for a certain service, and we'll say yay or nay.
You'll say yes or no. And chances are we're pretty broke, so I mean,
right.
I'll probably say yes. Come on.
I'm pretty sure that we just became what are they called?
Prostitutes?
No. The nice word for that.
Escorts?
Escorts. We just became escorts. You give me a price, and you tell me what you want me to do, and I'll tell you whether or not that's on the list.
Like I have hard lines. Like there's things I don't do, so they're off the list. I know you're into
some
that.
of the lines are a little softer, and it's that I won't do it unless you pay me lots of money, and then I will.
Exactly. Everyone's got their price.